culture. Everything is permitted.
All right, welcome to another edition of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I'm your host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-host, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
I love that new intro music.
The reason I was snorting a little bit at the intro was Brittany was dancing strong there.
She was popping and locking there.
She was popping and locking.
Oh, it was great.
I was impressed. I was wildly impressed.
Yeah, it was a lot from being in a chair. I felt like when old people do aerobics, you know, like, that was my best chair dancing I could do.
Welcome to episode 38. We have a great show planned for you today. It is our Veterans Day special. And with that, obviously you're listening on Tuesday or whatever day you're listening to. This past Monday was Veterans Day. So a big thank you to all who have served currently and did serve before. Obviously, it is Veterans Day. So, Matt, you are our very own vet. So happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you for your service, my friend. I thought that I would give you a few minutes if you wanted to talk about anything Veterans Day war related, because that's kind of the focus of our episode this week.
Something that I've actually been considering doing for a long time, and I actually have to sit down and actually do it, is I have like a little microphone at home that I was going to record like my experiences and stories and stuff like that for my time in the military. So if you don't know me personally, I served in the U.S. Army from 2004 to 2009. So I was an Army infantryman. So if you don't know what that is, basically they are the guys that are on the front lines, fighting, stuff like that. That is our primary function. That is our primary job, our primary duty. And I picked that job after college just wasn't speaking to me, because I was like, what am I going to do with my life? So I joined the Army, and I still remember thinking, and this actually ties to our topic of today, is I wanted to do something in the war, and that was Iraq was still going on at that time. So yeah, I did a year in Iraq, in Baghdad, in the Eldora section of Baghdad. I can literally point it out on a map and, show you where I was and all that stuff like that. And then just as a bonus, I didn't know it, but the Army had a thing that was called stop loss. And so I signed a 4-year contract. I ended up doing 5 years. And so I did Afghanistan for my extra year. So I have been to both countries. I have experienced both lifestyles. And one thing that I'm very grateful for is my parents got me a digital camera before I deployed to Iraq, and, said, oh, take some photos, or you take some photos. So I literally have like hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 or something photos that I took in both countries and back home in the States and stuff like that. So I actually have like a record of stuff that I can refer to. And I was going to, as I said, if I recorded stuff, I was going to have these photos that I would edit into the recording so you could see what I was talking about.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That was, as I said, that's something that I'm looking to maybe do. We'll see.
You should do it.
I support you.
No, I should. But as I said, it's just like, part of my thing with like me telling military stories is that I sometimes have a tendency to ramble off topic a little bit,
Which is okay.
Yeah, it's okay, but at the same time, though,
you told some
I'd like
stories.
To be a little focused.
You told some stories in the car ride to Terror Behind the Walls, and that was entertaining.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, actually, because you did serve both in Iraq and Afghanistan. How were the experiences, I'm guessing this is maybe a little bit of a dumb question, unique in their own separate ways? Was one worse than the other? Was one better than the other?
It depends upon what you want to define as worse and better and things like that. Iraq was the more dangerous place, but Afghanistan was the harsher living conditions, because, I pooped in a hole, I've peed in a tube in Afghanistan, while Iraq, I had plumbing.
Right.
So but Iraq is the stuff that, as I tell people, like my personal record for dead people I've seen at one time is 13. It was an entire family that was like doing a funeral convoy, and they were stopped by insurgents, and they just started shooting up the 2 vans until everybody was dead. And it was like 7 men, 5 women, and a 12-year-old boy. So, Iraq is the stuff that was like more of the nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
While Afghanistan was more of like I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, is more of they're watching us at every moment and they're looking for an opportunity to try and slip in. And
I remember
us.
you mentioning that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but like my thing is that like, I'm not, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to, like, as we say in the military, wave my dick around to other vets or anything like that. Like, I readily admit that like my experiences in the military were far more tame than some other guys have been through. Because I mean, one of my sergeants in Iraq was telling me about a story about how, like a friend of his was killed in a convoy incident where he actually pulled him out of a burning vehicle and the guy died on the side of the road there in Iraq.
Jeez.
Like, as I said, my experience is way more tame. And if I were to record stuff, it's not to basically say like my shit was so much worse than your shit. Like if I record something and another vet listens to it, it would never be to say that my service was tougher than yours.
I don't think that matters, though.
It does.
You know?
Trust me, among the military community,
I'm
it
talking
does.
about among the military, but I'm talking about people who haven't served in the military. And Brittany, I think you come from a military family as well.
Yeah, I've had many people in my family in the military.
I think that anyone who served should document their stuff. I mean, this is how we get, the records down, 100 years from now. It comes from the veterans, it comes from historians, from gathering stuff that like you may have done, like saying that you want to record your stuff and put your photos in there. I think it's totally cool. And obviously some people have been deeper in the shit than you, but like you've still been in the shit. So
yeah. So.
Yeah, and all shit stinks, my man.
Damn right.
So share your shit with us.
And it's that, and I've never been shying away from talking about.
No,
it. Like,
not at all.
I know there are some guys who like refuse to discuss it, and to me, that's kind of hurts them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for your service,
Thank
Matt.
you.
We definitely appreciate it. We are going to be let's give Matt a rounding thing of applause here. And to all the veterans out there as well. So that is going to be the topic and kind of theme of our show today. We are going to be reviewing the Roland Emmerich World War II film.
The epic, quote
unquote epic Midway, which hit theaters last weekend. And we are also going to be talking about war in film and pop culture, as well as counting down some of our favorite war films of all time. So we have that on our show today. Before we do that, let's get down to rants and raves. And Brittany's, I think, ready to go for once.
I just have raves.
Rave away,
no
friend.
Rant because I'm always ranting, and I'll save my rant for this film. So for rave, we've talked about how there's really good shows that have come out this year. But not just new shows, but recurring seasons. Like, oh, this show's back. I watched She-Ra season 4, and Atypical season 3 that just happened, and both of them were really solid and good seasons. So, if you liked He-Man and She-Ra, like the original show, you'll like this newer cartoon for She-Ra. It's also really good and wholesome for kids. I love it. So yeah, it was just a little rave. They're both really good.
I like that.
They were good,
short and
solid,
sweet,
like so much character growth between the two shows, and you're just like, this is good. This is good writing. It's been a good.
It's been a good TV week. Rough week, but good TV week.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Isn't that a nice thing to say? It kind of rolls off the tongue. It's been a nice TV week.
Nice TV week. Streaming
you want to go or you want me to go?
I have something, but if you want to go first, I usually go last anyway. It's up to you.
So you were out with me when I purchased it. But
yes.
I would like to rave very much about the game A Plague Tale: Innocence. Ooh. Holy crap. I didn't think I would love the game as much as I have really come to love it. It is a great story. I mean, yeah, there is some of the stereotypical, like, oh, the church people are the evil villains, which, whatever, it is what it is. It's kind of like stereotypical at this point. But the gameplay, the story, the characters, I've come to love all of it, and I cannot recommend the game enough. I know that our Golden Gauntlets are coming up, and I'm going to probably nominate it as one of my game of the years. And yeah, I know. I mean, as I said, it is a very good game. So yeah, that is my rave for the week.
These are some wholesome raves.
I know. It is some wholesome
Watch, Julian's going to rant.
Yeah, I know.
I am not going to rant.
He's going to kill the vibe.
One, I'm going to say that was a fun little mall trip that we had.
It was.
You also got the gritty bobblehead.
The wife got that, but now sits proudly on our shelf. So.
And then
Gritty is love.
And then I had FOMO, and I had to get one for myself, so I ordered one on eBay, and it's now sitting in my mantle.
There you go.
I love Gritty.
Who doesn't love Gritty? He's our fucking murder Muppet, guys.
Gritty is the most Philly thing I've ever seen in my life.
I still love that video. I think Brittany first shared it on Facebook where it's like, I don't know if it's a preseason game against the Pittsburgh Penguins where there's some fan and he's like doing stuff and like Gritty just stares at him and then Gritty just like kind of goes like, get out of the way. And like all the Philly fans like part like the Red Sea and he climbs up like 5 rows of seats to get in this dude and he takes his hat and just throws it.
I love it.
And then like shakes his tummy and his butt in his face and then leaves.
Yeah, I'm gonna rave. I could rant. I do have a rant, but my main thing was a rave. My rant is literally from something that happened about an hour ago. So, having to do with one of the CW superhero shows. But I'm gonna rave. So I played a shit ton of solo Destiny this week. If you don't know what that means, like Destiny is an MMO. You have clans. You can play with people, or you can play solo. I have had a bit of like a spirit walk of, coming back to Destiny after a year away.
Yeah.
And really like figuring out the kind of Destiny player I am and the Destiny player that makes me happy. And I am shut up. This is a big deal.
Sorry, continue. What kind of player? What kind of Destiny player am I?
Well, no, but they talk about this a lot in Destiny specifically. Like there is a strong contingent of solo Destiny players, and there's a strong contingent of people who want to play in clan and really play PvP.
I have something to add
This
to your
is his
Destiny thing at the
pilgrimage,
end
sir.
of it. Yeah, I know.
Go ahead, add it now because I'm going to go on for a little bit.
No, I finally did the raid last night, and I got Divinity as well at the same time. So, Jesus Christ.
Isn't it funny the first time both of us do the raid, we do it doing the Divinity run too?
Well, the thing, I'm not trying to steal your thunder or anything.
Oh no,
like that,
steal away.
But the thing that actually pissed me off about the whole thing is that with Divinity, some friends of mine who like I've said like I'm trying to get this goddamn raid done. It took us a little over an hour or something to do Divinity and the raid. And
once you know that raid.
Well, and now I'm actually really pissed at the rest of my clan because
we talked about
in the
that.
Discord chat, I actually said something. I was like, look, you know what? If somebody needs my help with something, message me on Xbox because I'm tired of posting in the chat and nobody helps me, and I haven't been back to the chat since. That was like my petty little like.
You said you were going to do something when we.
No, I did, and unfortunately, and the thing is, like, they're good people, but it's like it always feels like there's the little click of like, oh, like the 4 of us are gonna like do something together, and then we'll get like 2 randoms.
Well, and that's why I've had bad experiences in Destiny in the past. Is that like there's been petty clan shit. And that like really turned me off. I had that happen to me in Destiny 1 and it's happened to me in Destiny 2.
Okay.
So this week I had some goals like I wanted to accomplish in Destiny. I've been slowly going away at the Vow, which is the catalyst quest for Ariana's Vow, which if you don't know what that is, it is the exotic hand cannon you get if you are a season pass holder at the beginning of the game. And it's like it's a great hand cannon. It's one-shot kill. It's like a sniper rifle hand cannon, basically.
Is it called the Grande?
No, it's called Ariana's Vow.
It basically shoots freight trains, essentially. Like, it does a lot of damage.
It does. And if you have a certain build, you can one-shot people in Crucible with it. So I said to myself, I'm going to get this done, like, within 2 weeks. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to combine the Vow with some other, like, solo stuff I have to do. I'm trying to get the Gambit Pinnacle, or they're not calling it Pinnacle anymore, but the submachine gun there. And I'm also trying to get some of the, just like the first watch stuff done and the other like Gambit quest.
Yeah.
So on Friday, I just ended up playing all morning a shit ton of Gambit solo. Now, Brittany, if you ever end up actually firing up Destiny, Gambit,
she won't.
I was giving her a hard little side.
I barely have any time for anything anymore.
I know.
You're lucky I'm able to show up here and record.
Oh, goddamn.
No, I'm just kidding. I make time for this.
I know you do. And we appreciate that. Gambit is a really fun mode, especially if you are teaming with people in your clan or people that you know, because it requires some communication. Having said that, you can absolutely solo queue it into it too. You're just not going to know if you're going to be able to rely on your teammates or not. And I thought I was going to have the worst time because I don't like playing solo Gambit. But I played solo Gambit for like hours straight, and besides getting upset at my teammates like a few times, I had a really good time. And in that, I finished the Vow, and I got about 2/3 done getting that submachine gun. So, like, I felt very accomplished. And then I went to the Leviathan for about an hour and just shot Cabal and got the catalyst done. So now it's masterworked. And like it was nice to feel accomplished. I did it by myself, and I had fun doing it by myself. And I realized that I can do the raids and do PvP with my clan, and I do have fun doing that. But the most fun I had in both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 is playing the game by myself.
You're a strong, independent woman, Julian.
I'm a strong, independent,
He's
basic
having
white
a
bitch.
cabal every time he plays. A kablast? What do you want? What do you want from me?
God.
I had some other ones.
I just hit the wrong button too.
Hello there.
I
No,
gave
that's
you-
my pun slipping in.
Hello there.
Yeah, your pun just, you know what?
Sure.
There we go.
I guess he didn't rate that very high.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Are you done?
Almost.
Are you done?
I feel like
It really got me earlier when you said spirit walk.
yes.
Lost it. I didn't mean to. It was just the term. I've never heard that before.
You've never heard the word spirit walk before?
No, but
Did you
got
watch
me.
any episodes of Star Trek Voyager?
No, actually.
That
I've
was
never seen
that was
Voyager.
like probably one of Chakotay's
Sorry.
Chakotay.
like, yeah, one
Okay,
of his
okay, I'm sorry.
one of his semi-Native American.
I just thought it was like really intense. I was like, Destiny's really got him, man.
It does. It's
in
reeled
his
me
soul.
back in.
Sorry, Voyager's like the only one I haven't seen.
Man, our rant and rave has gone
I don't
really
claim
long.
to be a trekker.
It has. That's okay. That's okay.
man.
And then if you want, because Brittany just assumed, and you know what assuming does, that I was gonna rant. I will rant very quickly. Spoiler alert: Supergirl
Oh, geez.
wrote off this week Jimmy Olsen,
Like
they wrote-
he left?
as in he's left the show.
Like the actor left, or they got rid of the character.
Well, they didn't kill him off, but the actor left, and they basically was like, "I'm gonna go buy like a local newspaper in a really suburban town, like we're like in the middle of nowhere where I grew up," and that's
So Jimmy's going to go
Were,
out
like,
of business, is
white
what he's
people
saying.
no. Jimmy Olsen has some money now
Ah.
in the Supergirl universe. Like he was like the head of Catco Worldwide, and like it was a bit crazy.
Please tell me Catco was like some kind of company that made things for cats.
No, that was the name of like the person who owned like one of the biggest media companies in the world. She was played by
You're asking me, but I haven't been watching CW shows.
really
I'm sorry.
popular actress. She had her own show for
So like a lot of them.
But wasn't that
No.
character from the comics, Cat
Cat.
something?
I can't even remember.
She was like
her
a
name.
journalist person.
Anyway,
She's from the comics.
I'm offended that they wrote off Jimmy Olsen. I mean, that's
he's
not
he's
really
going to
a
chase
rant.
off his true bow Superman.
Maybe he's just gonna he's gonna hang out with Superman probably.
No, he's literally went back to the like little small hick town that he grew up in. And
I need to catch up on the show because I have no I have no clue why they did it.
anyway, that's my little rant.
Was there like
you know, it took us a while to get to the end, but we made it there.
no? It's okay. I was just wondering like, was he a bad actor or something or
No, did you ever watch True Blood?
no?
No.
Is that the vampire one? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
my
it's
mom watched
HBO.
it.
One of those like numerous vampire things that came out.
So
because
the
of
other
Twilight.
CW actors that make their way into other CW shows.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, maybe.
I love how
a
that
little
network
bit.
it's just like sharing everyone,
You mean like
like Mon-El or some shit.
It's cheaper.
like oh hey look, these two actors are in a World War II type thing. Let's put them in Midway.
my God.
Good segue.
You like that? Even though we're not getting into that
haven't- we
quite
haven't-
yet.
yeah, I know.
First, we have to get to.
The permitted minute.
Das permitted minute.
All right, I like that a lot. I'm actually gonna wait just a few seconds here because I want to get us right on the 20-minute mark here. So we're gonna go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Gaeta, start the clock.
Taking a look back at our subject matter from last week, it seems like NBC's upcoming Peacock streaming service will be free. Also heading back to the streaming wars, more details have emerged on HBO Max, with the company saying that current HBO subscribers will be enrolled in the service at no extra charge.
Perhaps as a response to the Boomer director's comments, Disney has submitted RDJ, Josh Brolin, and well, the entire Endgame cast for Oscar consideration.
Today's the day. Disney Plus has launched. Stay tuned later this week for our Mandalorian special.
Sticking with Marvel, rumor has it that Ironheart and Thunderbolt series are in development.
Speaking of Marvel series, the upcoming Loki series starring Tom Hiddleston will directly tie into the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel. Kevin Feige has also stated that most upcoming MCU films will require some prior knowledge of the numerous Disney Plus series.
Not that it should have been revived in the first place, but 90210 has been canceled after one season.
Finally,
Finally,
shit.
PlayStation Worldwide Studios president Shuei Yoshida has stepped down from the company, moving on to working with indie developers for future PlayStation releases.
What was our time?
21. We did it in exactly 1 minute again.
Damn,
that was 8.
That was
8.
terrible.
We clutched
And
it.
I almost fucked it up by doing Britney's.
I would have just let you go.
The per minute.
Then I was
You
like,
never
whoa.
know what's going to happen.
I stuttered at the end. I didn't mean to. I was just taking it back.
No, none of you know this, but the reason that Brittany wanted to do the last one is because she wanted to pronounce Shuhei Yoshida.
Yep.
Do you want to do it again
Yoshida.
forever?
Shuhei Yoshida.
Watashi wa Shuhei Yoshida. Desu ka? I don't know Japanese, but I've watched some anime.
I love you guys
Yeah.
Itadakimasu.
so much.
That's thank you for the food.
And
or
yes, I
something.
called Martin Scorsese a boomer. Deal with it.
At this point, isn't he in that age bracket?
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's definitely in that tax bracket. Woo!
Ooh, damn, Brittany. Damn, girl, I am giving you something for that too.
Mother of God.
all right.
That's my that's
I know,
not even-
sorry.
Come on,
I
man.
was just messing
Don't
with
mess
you.
with my boy McConaughey.
I'm not messing with him.
Hive on the field. Bring a sword.
I liked him
love
in
that.
Interstellar a lot.
I liked him in Interstellar as well. I also liked him in True Detective, the HBO series.
I ain't never seen it.
I like how we're putting off getting to Midway. By the way, we're just
A lot.
Like, we're
I
not
was even- I was even
We're
gonna
not
do-
even. We're like. We're just like. Oh, I'm
It's
just
gonna
looking
be
at
really
it on the
painful. I was even
Just
gonna
like the film.
I was gonna put it off some more and ask you guys quick opinions on Shohei Yoshida leaving that role as
I don't care.
you don't care?
I don't care.
No?
I mean, I'm not a PlayStation guy, so
Right.
this doesn't really affect me. And I'm actually more pumped over Microsoft, like apparently investing like over $1 billion in indie
developers. Yep.
studios. So
yep.
I'm
That
like,
is a
yep.
big deal as
I'm
well.
all for it. Give me
Yep.
them indie games.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me an Indiana Jones games. Then it can be an indie game.
I've run out of.
We only
I've
have Lego
run out of
Indiana
buttons
Jones right
for
now.
you.
We have limited amounts.
Dun, 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 dun,
I could go to like the very you've hit all the buttons again. You're setting pun records left and right. You would have been proud of me. I went to my buddy Rick's house last night to watch AW Full Gear, great pay-per-view by the way. And I was making puns left and right. You rubbed off on me hard yesterday for whatever reason. That sounded really dirty.
No, it was just because you said hard.
And rubbed.
Well, rubbed off is like that's a phrase.
Yeah, it is.
My puns rubbed off on him.
Yes, the puns. And I was just punning left and right. And I also have a friend there who was, also kind of like you two would get along, master of puns as well. So it just was like,
It just kept bouncing around.
Would it be a
Bouncing.
pun battle though?
it would be something. I don't have any
It would
buttons for
be-
you, man.
Punderdome.
Hey, I make my puns once in a while. All right.
Mad Max 2.
Punderdome.
Punderdome? Wasn't that the second one? Punderdome? Or was that the third one?
Guys,
Okay, let's
remember
just
anymore.
get to
we're
it.
stalling.
Yeah, let's get
We're
to
stalling
it.
so
We're
hard.
stalling
Jesus.
worse than the engines in half these planes.
Oh my god.
And that's our segue into Midway.
Take it away, Brittany.
Midway. The film I wanted to end midway through.
Oh snap.
She and I both made that exact same pun in
the car ride home.
Like because she said like I thought of a pun. I said was it you wanted it to end midway through the movie? She goes yes. Oh my god.
So we thought, or maybe I thought, no one really. I just said we're gonna go see it, and you guys said okay. That if we're gonna do a war episode, let's go see a World War II movie.
And then I misunderstood, and I thought that we were going to see
Never,
1917.
never gonna live that down.
Because I didn't realize that there was another war movie. That
Well,
was
there
out
was
this year.
no
There was,
promotion
no
for this.
trailer for it.
No.
Yeah.
No, there was a little bit. I'd seen it around.
Oh, well,
I'd
I
seen
didn't.
some trailers.
And then you
here
guys were
there.
like, "Let's go see a movie for Veterans Day," and I was like, "Cool, war movie, let's go." And then we were sitting down, and a trailer for 1917 comes on, and I turned to Matt and I go, "Wait, isn't that the movie we're watching?" And he goes, "No, we're watching Midway," and I was like, "I haven't even seen a trailer for Midway."
So yeah, Midway starring, everyone that they could possibly get who was like close to A-list or like right there on the B list.
A-list adjacent,
Yeah, you had Woody Harrelson.
like the snack line.
You had a couple of the actors from Man in the High Castle.
Dennis Quaid. I think his name is Ed Skrein. He was
Yeah.
he played
Yeah.
Francis in Deadpool.
Yeah.
if you're wondering.
I'm trying to get to the IMDb.
Nick Jonas.
Luke Evans.
Rick was honestly shocked that I even went to see a movie with Nick Jonas in it. I was like, he wasn't
didn't
even
know.
the worst part of the movie.
He was arguably one of the better parts of the movie.
So,
I was
yeah,
like, oh, man.
we're gonna get to some of the accuracy.
I do
a
want
little
to
bit
quickly point out, and I'm trying to find him on here in a timely-ish manner, but there was an actor in there that I actually really like. He was Jake Weber. He was in
here. Was he Raymond Spirance? I think you said.
Yes, he was. He was Raymond Spronz, and he was in a show that I really loved.
I'd seen him before. I can't remember.
He was in Hell on Wheels,
Okay.
which is a great show about the great train race after the Civil War. I believe, Hell on Wheels. He was also on The Blacklist. He's been in other things too because I recognize him from other. He was on. He plays a Alex Jones type character on not this past season of Homeland, but the season before, and he's a real son of a bitch.
Okay.
Anyway, I really liked him. But let's get into our review of this film. When I first wrote our outline, the critic score was at 38% and the audience score was at 88%. Now, things have developed, and I'm continuing to be shocked by these things. The critic score did not go down 2 points. It went up 2 points to a whopping 40%. Do you guys want to know what the audience score is for this movie, or where it was and now where it is?
Yeah.
Well, considering it's getting closer to Veterans Day.
Yep.
My bet is 1,000%.
Well,
what is it? What is it, Julian?
The audience score was 88% at the time of the writing of this, and now it has gone up another 2 points to 90%.
That's inflation. Oh, wait, can I add that I did look at some reviews later on, and a lot of the reviews really praising this film are like white male boomers. Or the children of white male boomers who are like, my daddy died in this war. Go see it. I'm like, what? And
I have to ask you, the reviews that you read, were they reviewed?
A lot of them like tear the movie apart, and they're like actual critics are tearing it apart, and then like the reviews are just some people being like, well, I come from a military family and I'm a military buff, and like they have to start with this whole exposition of how much they love the military, and then they get to the point.
I'm just gonna say,
I only trust Matt.
As a veteran, you don't have to love everything military related. You can say something sucks. Like, cause when I was home on leave years ago, I remember I was wearing a 101st hoodie. I was still in the military, and I was getting my hair cut, and this woman said hi. She's like, hi, thank you for your service. She goes, but can I say that I don't really support the war in Iraq? And I said, you're fine. I said, I don't care. It's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, you can appreciate what we do and not support the war.
People don't get that, and we're gonna get to that later. But I do want to mention too, I didn't support the war in Iraq and what's going on in Afghanistan, but I support our troops, and I support our military. You can do that. It is okay.
Yeah. So we're still dodging Midway.
We are dodging this movie so hard.
Soldiers always sign their life away. Like I'll tell you right now, my brother and his wife, like both of them, now that they're out of the military, are like, never again would we go back to the military.
Yeah.
And also, it was their way of being like, college might not be the path for us right now, or we don't know what we're doing right now, or we wanted to join the military. We think it's going to be like this. And then they realize it's not. And then you literally do sign yourself. Your whole body is government property.
Yeah.
Like when you sign it away like that. And it's for a few years. So people don't realize that. But once they're in the military, it's not like they have a choice.
Matt, since we are dodging this a lot, I'm going to start with you. Your overall thoughts on Roland Emmerich's The Master Behind Independence Days.
So I'm going to cover up part of my tablet so you can't see my war movies, but that's Midway crap that I wrote down.
Oh my word.
I did some research on this movie just for historical accuracy, because other than being a veteran, I also moonlight as a history buff. I love history. I love American history, especially. I know a disgusting amount about both of the world wars. And I can honestly tell you this movie offended, in some ways it was good because it got a lot of stuff right in terms of things that happened. Like the whole thing when Nick Jonas hopped in the plane on the carrier deck and shot down a plane, that happened. I actually was surprised about that. That actually happened. And Halsey was watching it the whole time and actually promoted him on the spot. So that actually happened. But some things that really bugged me. And for example, one thing I'll touch on real quick is the attack on the Japanese carriers, Torpedo 8, which I said to Brittany, the movie just completely glossed over Torpedo 8, which is amazing to me because Torpedo 8, their sacrifice as they were attacking is one of the most unsung moments of the battle, because them being shot down is essentially what brought the Japanese air cover down low and wasn't able to respond to the dive bombers that showed up later and actually took out the carriers.
Was Torpedo 8 the air group that flew from Midway, or were they from one of the
carriers?
No,
they were from the carriers. But Torpedo 6 was the death of Lindsay, the one character who went down, and that was supposed to be a big moment, but Torpedo 8 was just totally glossed over, ignoring the fact, as I said, that they're basically suicidal attack. They knew they weren't going to make it. They knew it was going to. And then the movie shows Ensign George Gay going into the ocean and bobbling there watching the battle. It doesn't establish who this guy is. Doesn't establish the fact that he literally witnessed history floating in the ocean, avoiding Japanese ships as they were looking at the wreckage. He would hide under the wreckage when they came by, and he watched history happen. And the movie doesn't mention his name or anything about him or anything like that.
This movie did an amazing job of making extremely amazing things that happened during this battle and just during the war seem completely insignificant.
Yeah.
There was like no emotional feel to what should have been a really emotional battle.
And I mean,
agree.
And also this movie has the attack on Pearl Harbor and the Doolittle raid in it. And I mean, literally Midway is not really heavily until like an hour in. I literally looked at my watch and was like, all right, when is Midway going to actually be the primary focus of this movie? For the first hour, it's Pearl Harbor and the Doolittle raid. And I said this when we walked out of the movie. The only reason the Doolittle raid is in there is because this movie was partially funded by Chinese companies, and they had to have the little tagline at the end that thanks to the Doolittle raid and the Chinese civilians helping them, 250,000 of them were massacred by the Japanese.
I'll talk about it in more depth during my thoughts, but that was one of like the most bizarre choices to put in a movie I've ever seen, and such a waste of an actor. But I'll
yeah,
go on
and
that
also
later.
like the movie doesn't establish certain things as to why they're important. Like when Dennis Quaid, who plays Admiral Halsey, when he has shingles, the movie doesn't establish why it's a big deal for him to be on the sidelines for Midway and for why Admiral Raymond Spruance to be in charge of the fleet. Which, if you don't know, Spruance is considered was basically one of the the Navy's best tacticians. Like the dude was cool under pressure no matter what happened, while Halsey was a hothead who was like, fuck this, we're going in. Doesn't matter what's in the way, we're going to blow right through it, which could have hurt them amazingly at Midway. Well, Spruance was like, we're going to hang back and we're going to just wait until something develops and then we'll deal with it.
So are you saying that had Halsey been in command, things could have
gone very
different?
differently. Like in fact, historically, like Halsey was responsible for, because Halsey was more of an old school admiral who was more about like, I want a battleship to battleship conflict. And I don't know if it was the Battle of Leyte Gulf where his fleet actually got drawn out by a Japanese diversion force, and the main force got attacked by Japanese battleships, and a couple admirals were killed, and Halsey basically took the blame for it. And he was like, it's my fault. Like, they're the reason these people are dead is because I, was too rash and wanted something to happen.
I want to give everyone a chance at initial thoughts, and I know you have a whole list, so we'll circle around back to you. But Brittany, your initial thoughts on Midway? I
definitely agree with the critic score on this one. I just want to throw that out there. Whether it be the 38% or the 40%, that's where I'm at. I already made my joke about wanting it to be over midway through. But I do want to say that I really enjoyed the Asian cast of this film.
Yes.
They definitely were like the driving acting force and the emotional points of the film. Because the only time I actually felt like really into the film or like that emotional pull was anytime like the Asian actors were in it. Whether it be the Chinese civilians helping
the Doolittle raid folk.
Like that part, and then when they're attacked and like the woman screaming over the dead body of, I guess it's either like her husband or her son, something like that. Like that got me. I started to like tear up a little bit. Didn't fully cry, but I was just like, man, that was really good acting. And then the Japanese generals, when they want to go down with the ship, I was just like, oh man,
so good.
This is intense.
So good.
But yeah, like Japanese actors were so good, like so solid in their performances. Like I can't even complain about anything there. So
the American actors, on the other hand,
American actors, I have two people that I thought were slightly better than basically anyone else in the film, and that would be Woody Harrelson. Who also, like, I was like, well, as soon as I actually said it out loud,
can I point something out with you real quick? Like you were just like, it was so hard for you to say because like he was kind of the same, because you just went like you like tilted your head a little bit. You're just like, Woody Harrelson, saving grace of this movie.
Oh, he was. When he actually entered the film, I didn't even know he was going to be in it because once again, I didn't know anything about this film or who was in it or any trailer. But I mean, Owlman let me down in the beginning. As soon as he was in the first scene and he was like translating in Japanese, I was like, get me the fuck out of this theater. And then I was like, off and on for a little bit. I was like, it has its moments. It's pretty good. And then Woody Harrelson walked in. I was like, oh, thank God. I can watch it.
Oh, man.
So yeah, he stole every scene he was in for sure. But even then, you can tell I think the dialogue was my main problem with this movie.
Yes.
Like a lot of it forced even somewhat good actors to just fall flat.
I made the point to say after we walked out of the theater that about 90% of this movie, I was waiting for these guys to like drop their pants and start making a porno movie. Like the acting.
I got you.
The acting was like porno level worthy acting from a lot of these actors. Like the main pilot guy.
Oh my god.
Like
that's grand.
I was literally waiting for like the smooth jazz to start and him just
Dick Best.
Yeah.
Dick Best. We wouldn't have won this battle without Dick Best.
Pearl Harbor, the porno.
Yeah, I mean,
The Japanese show up and like, I have this pizza, but no way to pay.
it was
We're
porn
gonna have to
level
go Midway.
for such a pretty good cast. It was porn level. Even Woody, like, like some of his deliveries, and I don't think it was his fault. I'm sure he was directed that way.
I was sometimes.
This is so hard for me to say. Go ahead, say what you're.
I was just gonna say I was sometimes relieved when an action scene came up, so I could just be like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to watch people talk to each
even
other."
those were boring.
I know.
They were so
They had
bad.
sometimes good moments, or like some of the dog fighting and stuff was realistic, but then at the same time, then there was like very obvious CG, or like just really the dramatic moments didn't matter.
I actually thought I would.
care.
I actually thought I would hate the action scenes and prefer the dramatic scenes, and was the
deja
exact
vu.
opposite of this in this movie.
That's a crazy deja vu just now.
Oh man. But yeah, I ended up being like, "Oh, thank God, another action scene, please."
So the
Even
last
if it was the same.
The last time we did Bargain Bin, I said that the Journey 2 amounted to one thing for me, and that was it's time for the Thunder Cookie. And well, Midway amounted to two things for me.
I can't.
One, we're gonna give them a shellacking.
You didn't do the table slam he does.
I
to,
don't
like,
want to make
startle
loud mic
everybody.
noises and
Reverb.
make someone crash their car if they're listening to this while they're driving.
Oh my God.
And also that apparently Roland Emmerich doesn't know how to make action movies anymore. This was supposed to be
His pet project. He wanted to do this for years. I was
one,
reading.
his pet project, two, an action movie, an action war movie.
Mm-hmm.
Man, snooze fest. I wanted to take a nap. Like, I straight up wanted to take a nap, and the acting was so bad. And this guy who comes out with Independence Day, arguably one of the best summer blockbuster action movies to grace the silver screen. Man, you can't make fighter pilots exciting.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make fighter jets like during like this really emotional and epic, battle that possibly, Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, saved the war for the Americans. And it just fell so flat.
All the characters were super flat.
So flat.
The main character, I did not even want to see him on the screen anymore.
No.
I was like, I'm like, I don't want him to actually die because this is a real person, but die.
How dare you? How dare you speak ill of Dick Best?
The guy who played Dick Best was his acting was so bad. I didn't know what his accent was
He
supposed
was trying to go
be.
for like Jersey, but a weird Jersey.
And I think the problem is too is that he's an English actor, and he was probably having a hard time doing that like American, 1940s accent.
I was trying to think about this. Did any character, the Americans in this movie, did any character not have either a Southern drawl or some kind of
Exactly.
exaggerated
Yeah, that bugged me
New
so
England
much.
accent?
On
Like
the
nobody
ship.
just talked normal. There
Yeah.
was just like, "Yo, we're gonna go get these Japs." And like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
guys, like,
I was
great.
like, some people didn't have that accent. There were
No.
people from all over the U.S.
Yeah,
And then you're dealing with the fact that
They're all
this
white.
movie is 2 hours and 18 minutes, right? Like that's getting on the long-ish side. But honestly, about half an hour of this movie could have been removed. Matt, you and
I say an hour. An
Yeah,
hour. You could have like redone an hour of this movie, and I'll get to that.
You and I both agree Pearl Harbor shouldn't have been in this movie at all.
Nope.
And it would have saved huge amounts of money on their CG budget because you could tell they maybe saved that for last. The CG during the Pearl Harbor attack was so shoddy. It was so bad. And then I don't know if they just needed a big name actor or wanted to get his career back on track, but the Doolittle raid was such a like pointless thing to have in the movie and served almost no purpose to the rest of the story. And it was a waste of Aaron Eckhart, who is a good actor. It boggles my mind.
Yeah, he didn't have many lines.
And I said after we left too, I'm like, somewhere deep down in the depths, sitting there with like, friend request is a good movie. There is a good movie in here somewhere. I don't know where it is.
You want to know where it is?
Where?
It's remember the filmmaker that was on Midway? That is real. He actually
Yes.
filmed the Midway attack and stuff like that. There's actually a documentary
And that's
built
the
around
one they
his
should
film.
make in the movie.
But my biggest complaint is that, you have a movie that is also a World War II movie from, why why am I not going to remember his name? He's like one of my favorite directors. It was Christopher Nolan, with Dunkirk, right? That was Nolan, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Nolan does Dunkirk, right? And that movie made me uncomfortable all the way through because it did the best job portraying the urgency of what was going on at Dunkirk. The fighters scenes, like I was just bored with this. Like I didn't feel anything for the characters. I didn't feel anything when these guys were going down for their bombing runs. It was just boring action coming from a guy who is known for making like tremendous action sequences. So I
mean, we have to be real. He hasn't done a good movie in decades.
Arguably, Independence Day and Stargate are his only
Yeah, no, that's over 20 years ago.
good movies, but they were both good, you know?
I'm just gonna say, even like the beginning with Pearl Harbor, like that even didn't get anybody emotional. Like, even when the sailors arrive on the other ship, and he's just like, I forget what line he says or whatever, but he's like, "This is terrible." Like, no emotional depth to that. They're not like in awe or like crying because they have friends or loved ones that were like just attacked. Like, it was just like literally when they pull up and only one person on the boat says, "Oh, this is terrible." Like, in that exact inflection, like sometimes I was like, do I need to hop in this film and help act? Because I don't even know how to act. But I feel like if I came across that sort of devastation, I could,
As someone who
produce a
is
tear.
acted and taken master acting courses, not tooting my own horn, but like
Toot, toot.
I was a theater major. I could have acted better in this movie.
Well, pardon me. So.
I'm sorry. Like I could have done this movie.
Yeah.
And
that's what got
alongside
me.
Joe Jonas.
It's just too
Nick
flat.
Jonas.
Sorry, Nick. I can't get
Jonas.
my Jonas brothers
Yeah,
right.
surprisingly, it was refreshing to see Nick Jonas actually act. Like, I mean, I know
His-
he's capable
Maybe
of
like
acting,
one
but
of
it's
the
been, like,
only good parts
That's
of
what
the
I meant.
movie.
It
His
was
entire
like-
character could have been cut. Like, he
Yeah,
did nothing.
His
to
character could have been cut, but at the same time, I was like, oh, thank God. At least I'm going to get some emotion in this scene.
Like when he's about to get like executed by the
And
Japanese,
he's
like
cigarette.
cigarette, and he's like, "Why don't you guys just fuck off?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You go. I know you're about
Yeah.
to die, but you go, Joe Jonas."
But in that scene, they wasted
Joe?
the
Nick
whole.
Jonas, I think it was.
Fuck. I
They
don't
wasted a whole anchor on
You've
him.
like gone through the entire Jonas Brothers.
know. How many are there? 2 or 3?
Joe Jonas, Nick Jonas, like whatever Jonas.
Matt,
Three.
I
I don't
want
know
to
what the
I
other
want to
one
give
is.
you some more opportunity here because I know you have a whole list of.
I mean,
complaints.
like I went through a couple of them earlier, and I mean, like for example, one of the things that, and I even during the movie, I rolled my eyes, and I had to look up what the maneuver's called. Is the hammerhead stall when he like turns off the engine and the Japanese
and it
plane
goes-
he doesn't do it
and he
just
turns
once,
it back on,
but twice.
and he turns it back on, and I read like a military historian who kind of wrote about this movie, and he said, okay, that maneuver does exist, but you would not have done it in a Dauntless dive bomber because the thing probably would have just fallen like a rock. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been able to get the engine going again. So there's that. Also, the fact is that this movie, like, and I don't know how, I have to do more research into this, but this movie made it seem like the anti-aircraft fire was like just blowing planes out of the sky left and right, when I read that apparently only one plane was shot down by it. The rest were all fighters.
And if anybody knows anything about anti-aircraft fire, it's not accurate. It's there as
especially in
Especially
World War
back
II,
then.
they're just like,
Especially
World War
ah,
II.
they're just shooting everywhere.
It's more of a deterrent than anything.
Yeah.
And the Japanese planes were the major
Yes.
force. Even the man that made the planes that ended up being used for war, like made them just so people could fly, and he liked the power of like
Yeah,
the
could
beauty
we-
of flight. So it's really sad. I forget his name, but there's a whole movie made about him by like Hayao Miyazaki. But the reason, like it makes sense that the planes were shot down by the Zeros.
Yeah.
Because they had
They were
better
fast.
planes.
They were faster, more maneuverable.
better.
Yeah, they were better designed planes.
So that
at
was the
time.
downside. I want to see more of the dogfights instead of just like, we got 2 people on our back. And like, I was just like, cool, but you're going to outrun them for like a whole 30 minutes of this film and then maybe get shot down?
Can we also talk about the fact that this movie touched on absolutely nothing about Japanese kamikazes?
Well, that wasn't a thing by Ed Midway.
It wasn't a thing by Midway?
No, it was.
Oh,
It was
okay.
after Midway when
Because they were getting desperate, right?
Yeah, because the combined fleet was basically decimated by Midway, and then that's when they were kind of like, all right, they're starting to get closer. We need to something drastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, kamikazes weren't a thing. But one thing, and I think Brittany and I were talking about this, is at the beginning scene when Yamamoto speak, and who I agree with Brittany, like the Japanese actors were excellent. Like
Yep.
I looked up the guy who played Chuichi Nagumo, and he's like a seasoned veteran
Yeah.
of like Japanese TV and movies. So, but like when Yamamoto talks to the code breaker, you know, and he's like the owl man. He has this very heavily accented like English, like, oh, you do, like with the heart. And doing the research about Yamamoto, first of all, and they mentioned this in the movie, the guy went to Harvard for 3 years, and then he was a naval attaché, traveled all over the United States. You're telling me that this dude, like with literally a better part of a decade in the United States under his belt, would still be like, you bring dishonor to our family. Like you're telling me he wouldn't be a refined, like, yeah, look, I know that war is coming. You know, he would talk like more like an average American.
And there were certainly people even then, you know, in Japan and that could speak, you know, fluent
and
American.
A movie that
English, not American.
It's on one of my best war movies list, and it actually did the Japanese officer who's been in the United States, but he has a slight accent, but he speaks perfect English. So that bugged me. I don't know why, but like Yamamoto having the stereotypical Japanese like English accent.
I think it was to make us feel better about the fact that Owlman was supposed to be supposedly speaking Japanese very well. Because as soon as they switched to English, I was like, I get it now.
So
I get it.
another thing, and I forget what movie site pointed this out because something was bugging me about the end of this movie, and I couldn't put my finger on it until I read this. Is at the end of the movie, it does this. Says this film is dedicated to the U.S. and Japanese sailors who fought in the Battle of Midway. However, the movie makes it a point to show Nick Jonas being executed by a boat anchor being tied around his legs and being thrown into the ocean, as well as the fact that, like, we have to be honest here. I mean, granted, the United States were not saints either, but the Japanese military committed numerous atrocities.
Especially against the Chinese people.
Yes, and by God, the movie mentions that. You know, doesn't really show it that well, but it mentions it, and it's like, so you're gonna have this scene where they brutally execute this dude, and I did the research, and nobody knows how he was actually killed. He was thrown overboard, but they made no mention of a boat anchor. He and his pilot were essentially tortured for a couple days and then just tossed overboard. Yeah, but. Yeah, so the whole thing of like, oh yeah, the Japanese and sailors and stuff like that, and fighter pilots, yeah, those guys, they were real good guys.
There's two more things I want to touch on before we get to our film reel scores here. The first is Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is a really good actor, really good actor. God, was he awful in this? Like, so bad.
Once again, I really feel like it was the dialogue and direction.
Yeah. Overacting, 100% overacting.
Like they wanted him to really be scratching the shingles, going crazy.
And just like all like the way he promoted the guy, even though that actually happened. Yeah, like it was just all of this overacting, and then they tried a little bit to like get the women's perspective in here, which they completely.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as a woman watching this film, it is
painful,
rough. Because the thing is, they could have included more women in this film if they wanted to, or God forbid any not white people, because apparently they think that all these soldiers were just white, and you have 2 black guys that show up.
There was one black guy in the awards ceremony, which I actually was wondering if that was the Cuba Gooding character from Pearl Harbor, the real life guy getting his award. I was wondering if that was him.
Interesting,
because it was only the back of his head, so I couldn't see are they trying? I can't remember the real man's name, but. He was awarded the Navy Cross for his actions at Pearl Harbor, and I was wondering if that was him. That was like the subtle nod.
And since they included Pearl Harbor in it, and they wanted to make that such a big part of the opening of the film, you think they would show all the people putting the effort into like helping in the relief afterwards and stuff, and there were so many like men and women and people of like different ethnicities.
But then it would have been a Pearl Harbor movie, and it was called Midway.
But at the same time, it was just like rough.
Well, the thing is that like, and as I said, you could have cut a reshot an hour of this movie because, like, to me, it's like, was the Battle of Midway not interesting enough for you guys? Because I mean,
do a whole film, yeah.
I mean, like, because when you really like read about it, it was like, yes, the Americans knew where the Japanese were coming from and all that stuff like that. That part was true, but they still had to find them. Yeah. And like, it was this game of cat and mouse where it's like, we got to find them before they find us. And, because they outnumber us, that's all true. Like they had more carriers, more planes, more pilots and all that stuff like that. You could have done a whole dramatic like tension and stuff like that of like, we're sending out scout planes. They got to be found.
A war movie dramatic? No.
I know, right?
Did you want to touch on Mandy Moore?
So that's the last thing I was going to say is that this movie just completely wasted Mandy Moore's talent, who is not only a great singer, but she's turned into a very good actor as well. So a complete waste of Mandy Moore, a complete waste of a movie. And I want to say this, I brought them on purpose. I feel like they knew this was a bad movie before they even came out, because they give you a consolation prize before you even leave. And it is, I'm holding it here, you could hear the crinkling, this really awesome, and I will say awesome pin that says Midway, June 1942, and it has one of the fighter planes on it. And you get a consolation prize for sitting through 2.5
something hours.
Mine is
2 hours
actually upside down in the package, so that's even more fitting.
Yeah, 2.5 hours of garbage. Let's get into our film reel scores out of 5, starting with Matt.
So, like we've already touched upon it, I will give this movie credit for the Japanese actors. They killed every scene.
Yes.
I said to Brittany that I actually wanted to see more of the Army and Navy like going at each other to like discuss their strategy about what they want to do, because I felt that was interesting. You know, Yamamoto saying like we need to be united against the Army before we walk into that room, and so on and so forth. So I will give the movie credit for that. Some of the action scenes were decently done. I didn't mind some of the action. Like the only thing where I was like, oh my God, is bombing the last carrier. I think it was a Soryu, when he did the whole like flying along the deck and dropped his bomb like right on the rising sun.
This is for whoever.
This is for Pearl Harbor. And he like,
I couldn't even hear what he said at that point, but I was just like, something, America.
yeah, and he flies through the explosion. Like that was the only part where I was like, you got to be shitting me, guys.
Roland Emmerich, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I know. Or the aircraft fire was like so thick you literally can't see the ship as he's diving towards it.
We're not trying to dismiss the fact that these were real people that did some of these
Not
things.
No, absolutely
But the way
not.
it was portrayed was like over the top, and you're like, stop, you're dishonoring
I mean,
them, I'm sure.
like literally several times during this movie, I could hear the America Fuck Yeah song start playing. And like I said to Brittany after, I forget what part
Oh
it
my
was,
God.
when he said something like, I said, I almost pictured an American flag unfurling behind him, and they start like, somebody starts waving
The
it.
lack of
Yeah.
American flags in this movie was shocking.
That was actually the best part for me, because I was just
yeah.
like, oh, thank God.
But I will give it, so having said my positives, I'll give it like a 2 out of 5.
Brittany.
I agree. I also gave it a 2 out of 5. And that's the saving grace of, once again, the Asian cast and the way that they portrayed certain things in the film, where I was like, oh, this is a nice change in a war film, but at the same time, it missed a lot more than it hit on the mark.
Yep.
So that's why I have it at a 2 out of 5.
Is that like is there a bomb pun in there somewhere about missing the mark?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
yeah.
joke.
This movie will really bomb.
Yep. It's not the bomb you wanted, but it's the bomb you got.
We are a united front. I give this movie a 2 out of 5 as well. Again, I think we all agree the Japanese acting was superb. And then I didn't mention it, but one of my favorite scenes in this movie is the one scene that actually got me like tense, was the submariners. And them like having to be quiet, and the depth charges hitting the ship, and them, missing the torpedo. Like,
Yeah.
I will get to this in the next segment. I'm a sucker for submarine movies, so that submarine scene really got me, and it seemed like the only sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Because they're like
Tension.
battle stations, like waking the
Yeah.
guys up for the bunks. So I was like, all right, like let's
Yeah.
fucking go. So 2 out of 5 film reels.
Which is the same amount of Japanese generals that went down with their ship.
Good point.
Which is arguably the most emotional part of the film, and the
Correct.
most like culturally
Yeah,
accurate.
that
Where
was-
you were like, dang.
Like, I actually did feel kind of sad when the one guy was like,
Let me come with
when
you,
he's like
yeah.
crying, he's like, I want to go down with you. And the guy, he's like, no, like young men like you need to get off the ship. Like, this is for me.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
Let's move on. Obviously, we're sticking with war here, but war in film and pop culture. The United States of America is just deeply ingrained in
Yes.
war film, and the glorification of war.
people no shit still say John Wayne is a good actor because of his movies. And he sucks. I'm sorry. If you're an older person listening to this, I'm sorry. John Wayne sucks.
John Wayne sucks.
My grandma's gonna have
Changed
a heart
my mind.
attack. I don't think she listens to this though, so
Obviously, before we get into our countdown of our favorite war films, I think we can all agree that, with war, despite, being so destructive and, so much loss of life, it's deeply ingrained in our society. We can't go anywhere without, war movies, war television series, commercials for the Army, the Air Force on your television. And it's, highly profitable in Hollywood. Who knows how many billions of dollars Hollywood has made off of war films.
I mean, the military actually, like, depending on certain movies, they help out make some of these, like Midway actually got the U.S. Navy involved to help make it. So, I mean, the military sees the value, quote unquote, in making these movies because, and I readily admit, war movies kind of helped guide me to the infantry.
Yeah.
So,
propaganda.
yeah.
Yep. You actually said that Midway got the help of the U.S. Navy in here. I'm a sucker for the first two Transformers movies.
Ew.
I liked the first one.
Yeah, I love those movies. And Michael Bay, has a very strong relationship with the United States military, and
Not with his actors, though.
Not with his actors. He
R.I.P. Megan Fox.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He treated her horribly. He's super sexist.
He really did. But he, for all the military scenes, like anytime you see airmen or army, like those are real army and real ships that they use. Like they went to the air bases and were able to use all of that.
No matter what happens anywhere in the world, it could be in like whenever the military getting ready, there's always a sunset in the background.
Exactly.
Like as they're climbing into their jets.
Like one of my favorite scenes in Transformers is like when like they're getting on the horn because like the four guys are like fighting Scorponok, and like the guys are on the horn like in the big
and the A-10's coming,
and the A-10 Warthog comes down, and like Warthog is like one of my favorites, and like it's one of the best scores from Steve Jablonsky like ever. Oh man, goosebumps.
What a time to be alive.
Good time to be alive.
Is that one of your war movies there,
fun
Julie?
fact.
Yes, the
first Transformers movie.
The war for Cybertron.
The war for
rages
Cybertron
on.
is the largest.
Oh, man.
Fun fact, whenever they have like members of the military in films, they always have to do the uniforms slightly wrong in some way.
Yes.
And that's so people can't watch it and then know exactly how to do the uniform to like then
That's really interesting.
Stolen valor piece
they
of
don't know
shit.
about that. I mean, yeah, aside from people just like dressing up and trying to get discounts at the mall like idiots, but like literally just so people from other countries can't watch it and be like, oh, that's exactly how the uniform looks. This is how you put things on. They always have like something slightly like put in the wrong spot, even like a few centimeters down or like folded. Their shoes are tied incorrectly. Stuff isn't tucked.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, spies.
So before we get into our countdown, do we want to add anything else about, how war is deeply ingrained in our society, or do we want to just...
I think war movies are almost a uniquely American thing because yes, some war movies do exist in like Britain and France and stuff like that, but I would say they're almost more like anti-war, if anything. Like, there's very few like rah rah, like we won and we fought the good fight, and I'm sure there might be one or two, but they're not like a cultural icon like they are in the United States.
There was that movie that I think was like I think it was made in England, Eye in the Sky, and Helen Mirren was in it, and it was about drones and I know the moral conundrum.
I know what the movie you're talking about. I don't know if they remade it because there was a movie. Apparently, it was pretty good. It was like a former fighter pilot becomes a drone pilot, and he's like, "This isn't war. I'm killing these people from a continent away in an air-conditioned room."
A lot of other countries, when they do make war movies, especially like Germany, when they make a film, it's more like to show this is what happened, this is why it can't happen again, or like we need to talk about this because people need to know. In Germany, you're not even supposed to have too many German flags out at once, even if it's like a sporting event that happens, because they are like too much of this patriotism could turn into something else. So like there's a lot of rules against stuff like that. But even when they do portray like World War II, or they have, The Fall, which is another like Hitler film, they just show like this is what happened. We're not going to say it didn't happen. It did, but like this needs to be known. And I feel like sometimes American films, they get to the point where they're like really glorifying not just war, but also like one perspective of war. So like I kind of liked one thing about this film about Midway was that it showed like the Japanese side and the American side. But even at the same time, I was just like, we could have gone a little deeper on both ends. Yeah. But yeah, I'll agree that like other countries, it's not the same.
It's not as glorified as it is in the United States.
Because America's like, yeah, we won these wars. We did the good thing. We were the great guys. And I'm like, even if you did some things that helped people, once again, the U.S. did know about what was going on in Germany. They knew about the Holocaust. They knew about a lot of things, and they decided not to get into it. Yeah. You had comic writers that were writing about these things ahead of time. Well, Captain America was punching Hitler on the front cover of the issue, and America still wasn't involved in the war yet. And then once they were, comic artists, left to go join the war. So I got you, man.
Let's get into our top war film countdown here, and Matt, since you're our veteran, we're going to give you the special treatment today. We will start with you, and I am dying to know, my friend, because I'm going to
go from. I did 5.
No,
I did my top
don't go
5.
from bottom to top.
Tough crap.
You son of a bitch.
I didn't put them in any order. I
did mine in order. So
all right,
I did my top 5 war movies that that I personally enjoy. So number 5 is Full Metal Jacket.
I have that too.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
if you want to now,
is
the thing
really
about
good.
Full Metal Jacket is you can actually divide it into two movies. The basic training thing completely would stand on its own. Like the whole thing, you could lengthen it. Arlie Ermy obviously is iconic. His whole thing, like his swearing and the way his treatment and stuff like that. Like obviously, drill sergeants when I joined were nowhere near that level, but like they definitely took from Arlie Ermy, like their mannerisms and stuff like that, and the way that they act. But Full Metal Jacket, it's a fantastic movie. As I said, it perfectly encapsulates like the absurdity and the weirdness of what Vietnam was and things like that. As I said, the second half of the movie does that, and the first half is just basic training and just like how messed up it could be, and like how it could drive people to like kill themselves.
Yeah.
So
Very good first pick.
Yeah.
We're on a good start here. Brittany.
I also had that as my first pick, but like you basically hit on all the points I would have talked about. It also has really good performances in it.
Yeah.
So like it's a
yeah, it's a very
intense
good, very
film.
good movie. Yeah.
It's one of those few films I have on like HD DVD back when they thought that was going to be a thing instead of like Blu-ray. I have that like Xbox add-on, so
Oh my god.
I haven't rewatched it because that's the only version I have
Yeah.
of it. But yeah, it was solid. Next on the list, I had Saving Private Ryan, just because it's one of those big war epics that
Yeah.
probably everybody has seen.
That's
at
on
least
my
once.
list.
So I had a hard time because I really didn't want to put it on my list because I feel like if any other podcast or any other person you have this conversation with, it's going to be on their list.
That's my
But
number 2.
Having said that, it's an epic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those quintessential World War II films.
I mean,
It's got really solid actors in it. It's kind of an interesting plot, but it's a true plot.
So Saving Private Ryan is my number 2, and I'll touch upon it a little bit more when I get to it. But obviously, Saving Private Ryan is the watershed moment for war movies. Like it was the gritty, realistic, guys screaming for their mothers as they're holding their innards laying.
Gory.
Yeah, that D-Day.
It's like the
Hard
D-Day
to watch.
scene is probably still like one of the best crafted war scenes ever.
Yep.
Like it still holds up. It still is visceral and terrifying and emotional. It actually shows like the American troops like shooting guys surrendering, which is something that happened.
Yep.
I mean, it's like it has everything. As a scene, it's pretty much perfect.
The reason that it's kind of a big deal for me and a big film in my life is because I've talked about it briefly on the show before. My grandmother and I didn't have a great relationship, but she was a Holocaust survivor and a World War II survivor. Made it back to the States, and we did not watch a lot of anything together. We were in vacation down in Florida, and I remember this vividly. And I probably at my age shouldn't have seen the movie quite yet, but the people that we were staying with put it on, and I never seen my grandmother be so attentive and into something, and I'm 99% sure that she cried during this movie, because even though it didn't touch on the concentration camps and like the Nazi aspect, like this is still a part of her life.
Yeah.
This is something that happened in her lifetime and is very real for her. So Saving Private Ryan holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, I will say it's one of the best like D-Day recreations ever.
Yes.
And like I even studied in Normandy, and I've been to the beaches and to the cemetery there, and I really like how that film portrays those areas. So
Julian,
it's a
you
big
up?
deal.
My first pick is Transformers. No, so a little bit of fact about me, because it's kind of like it's our war in a way. You served there. We experienced it with the Bush presidency, and whatever controversy was surrounding it. I have I like the history, and I want to know all I can about what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. So my first pick is Zero Dark 30. Jessica Chastain, really great film, really emotional. It's all about the intelligence gathering on going to do the Osama raid, which is historic. I think everybody now knows that photo of Obama and Hillary and everybody else who was involved during that raid. It's a great movie. Just simply fantastic.
Didn't it win Oscars, or was it nominated?
It did. So that it was a kind of a big
think-
deal
didn't
because
Jessica
it was up
Chastain
against
win?
Avatar. And oh no, that was Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
I hated her.
I thought it was up for
Oh
something.
wow, because that's on my list.
I haven't seen like a lot of really modern War films.
Zero Dark 30 is really good because it shows like just how much went into it and how it all like how a bunch of times like it almost didn't happen.
I remember watching that with Heather at home, and I remember the scene when the helicopters actually lift off to go, and they're like, they have the little, they're silent, and they're like, and they're just very going over the border. I actually said to Heather, I'm like, I still cannot believe that this happened, like that they were able to pull this off.
And from what I understand, that technology was brand new. Those choppers.
Yeah, they were like, all right, we got this technology to make these things quiet. So
not only make them quiet, but almost invisible to radar.
Yeah.
And I remember reading about it, and I think they portrayed it in the movie as well. Like I think there were some mechanical issues during the run. Because it was still like brand new technology.
Yeah, Chris Pratt was one of the Navy SEALs.
Yes, he was. The guy who's been in Chicago PD, and he was in not Chicago PD, this first Chicago cop show, and he was in the Terminator Genesis movie. He played John Connor. Really good actor. Like he was in Zero Dark 30. I always forget his name. Really good actor.
Yeah.
Zero Dark 30.
All right. So my number 4 is Black Hawk Down.
Yep.
So Black Hawk Down, obviously, it's a amazing portrayal of the Battle of Mogadishu, of the failed raid to try and kill or capture Mohammed Farah Aidid. Good acting between a lot of the actors. Fun fact: my friend was in the brigade. Who he commanded he was in the movie. I can't remember his name right now. But he was the guy who was like, when you get to the 5-yard line, you're going to need my Rangers. That guy was my friend's like brigade commander. Like, and later he hated being like approached about the movie, the book, or anything. He hated it and up until the day he retired. So, but yeah, Black Hawk Down, good movie. One of my favorite scores is Gortaz Al-Ran, like emotional, powerful.
So emotional.
Love that score. So, yep, number 4 is Black Hawk Down.
Lucius Malfoy's in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's
Nice.
Mr. 5-yard
guy.
line. That's him.
Yep. Great movie. It. I didn't write it down, but I would have mentioned it. Yep.
My number 3 is Inglourious Bastards.
Okay, so
I know it's like
before we
loosely
before I let you go, can we talk about, because we talked about this over lunch yesterday, whether this should be included? Because
that's what I was trying to figure out.
Had it be, it's your number 3. It would have been my number 1. I decided against it, but I'd like go ahead. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, because now I don't know if it's like.
No,
really
I mean this is
about
your pick.
This is
not all films are historically accurate.
Correct.
Film straddle different genres,
Yeah.
different things, and all that. So
Glorious Bastards is just kind of like, it's like what you want to have happened.
Yeah.
It's like basically like you're like, let's just kill some fucking Nazis. Like it's a Quentin Tarantino.
That's his new nickname.
Sorry, it's a Quentin Tarantino film. So like you already know what you're getting into, but it's just like, it's not. I mean, it's over the top and it's a little outlandish, but overall, like it does have some really cool scenes. I love the opening of that movie.
Yeah.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
That has like so much suspense in it, and I actually watched it in my French class in high school, which we weren't supposed to, but my teacher like put the little blinds down, and he was like, "We're gonna watch the beginning," but then he let us watch the whole film of Inglourious Bastards, and he's like, "And if anybody comes in, we're watching this one instead." Like and it was just, I remember being so like pulled into that opening scene, and I was just like, "This is." I just kept watching.
Arguably, I can't decide whether Tarantino's best film is Pulp Fiction or Inglourious Bastards. I have a really hard time going back and forth.
The three fingers gets me every time.
But
it
Brittany,
should be this.
The opening scene, there's zero way after watching that you cannot go and finish the rest of the movie.
Especially when it like pans down, you realize that under his feet they're hiding people, and you're like, oh my god.
And I can't remember the actor's name now. He's in everything.
Christoph Waltz.
Yes, sir. Christoph Waltz is
he's
absolutely brilliant.
He kills it in every movie.
There's
he's
incredible performances in the movie, for sure. And there's like a lot of really iconic scenes.
Inglourious Bastards is one of the few movies that like I remember watching in theaters and going, holy shit, when they shot Hitler. Because
exactly.
I thought it would be like, all right, they're going to try and they're all going to fail and get killed or whatever like that. But then they kick in the door and fucking gun Hitler down. I was like,
and that's
okay.
where it becomes, is this an actual war movie? Because,
I just put it in because it's like.
But it is, though, and it's so good. And you have to talk about it. Yeah. The opening scene and the bar scene are some of the most historic scenes, I think, in film history.
And it captures certain aspects of the time period really well. Like, especially that opening scene. Like, you're like, this is scary, and this probably happened to quite a few people.
So, Julian.
Matt, you just said you hated the movie, and I absolutely love it because I love these stories. Hurt Locker, Jeremy Renner, who apparently is a giant fucking douchebag in real life.
So the thing I will admit to liking about Hurt Locker is it's, as a character study, it's a fine movie, but as like some kind of like, oh, it's realistic like Iraq. No, it's not, and I'm going to punch you in the face if you say it is.
Okay, so what wasn't realistic?
I mean, I could probably spend way too much time talking about it, but for example, when he does the scene when he pulls up and there's like 5 wires, they go to 155 rounds. One of those rounds weighs like a lot. Like he would not be able to pull all 5 by a single freaking wire, for example. The beginning scene when the one guy gets killed, like when he's like, oh, he's got a phone, the guy should be popping rounds at him. Even if you can't hit him, you're shooting at him, and he's going to go, oh crap, and drop the phone because he knows you're shooting at him. Like, also the scene when he's like, oh, we're going to go after him. The guy goes, why don't we get the infantry guys? And like, I can tell you right now, in any real scenario, if some guy was like going to try and suicidally charge in, they're going to get punched in the face and knocked out. Like, no, we're not doing this. It's going to get us killed. Like stuff like that. Now, probably my favorite part of the movie is the end scene when he's basically talking to his son, when he's like, you know, sometimes like the sense of danger is something you love. And he goes, and sometimes it becomes the only thing you love. And then that right there establishes why he's like doesn't care about his own life, because the thrill of danger is the only thing he's in love with anymore.
And you talk about opening scenes of movies and that really captivating you, like the opening scene of this with him and then Anthony Mackie's in this movie and Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce, big actor, dies in the first 5-10 minutes of this movie.
Was that Guy Pearce? I didn't know
that was Guy Pearce. Huh. He's the first bomb squad leader, and then obviously Renner takes over for him.
I mean, the movie is pretty reviled in the veteran community. Like, I'll just tell you that right now. Anybody who's been to Iraq hates the Hurt Locker.
Interesting.
Hates it. So,
and I believe it won Best Picture.
It did.
Yep. And that's sometimes when you know there's a disconnect between what the audience and critics perceive and what reflects real life.
Not only audience and critics, but going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the segment, is that how deep ingrained it is in pop culture and how, you know, people sometimes don't know real fact from fiction.
And just like that character, sometimes people crave these stories. So they crave that feeling and they want that overhyped dramaticness.
Back to you.
All right. So my number 3 is, you guys like Asian actors and such from Midway? Letters from Iwo Jima.
Oh, I love that one.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Incredible movie. It is it shows the Battle of Iwo Jima from the Japanese side. And it is not like pro-Japanese. Like, it shows that many of them were just as scared and terrified and like didn't want to die. And like the scene when they're like, a bunch of them are killing themselves, like it's a hard watch because some of them are like crying and stuff like that. And they're like, you could tell they don't want to do it. And it was filmed concurrently with Flags of Our Fathers, a Clint Eastwood film, but Iwo Jima is the far superior. Ken Watanabe.
I love
Ken Watanabe.
Ken is so good.
Yeah, like he kills.
Last Samurai, baby.
He kills it as, I forget the general's name that he plays, but and I can't remember the main character. I can't remember his name either. But Letters from Iwo Jima is a fantastic movie. It is. I recommend to anybody and say it's one of my all-time favorite war movies. Period.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're getting short on time, so I'm gonna go Brittany, and I'm gonna go back to you for your, and then I'll do my
number 2 is already said, so I can gloss over.
Okay, so there you go. So you're next.
I have Schindler's List next, because like although it doesn't focus so much on the war itself, like it
is 100% a war
yes,
movie.
It's very much a war movie, and I personally, I don't really enjoy war movies, but when I do watch them, I enjoy seeing the perspective of what war does to civilians. And I like when there's true stories about, you know, when people are able to save other people, or like, I have quite a few that are anti-war films that I have as honorable mentions
Also, Ray Fiennes as Amon Goth is like one of the most chilling things ever.
That movie is, you know, I don't want to say required viewing, but like if you're Jewish, like you've seen Schindler's List.
It's like very intense depictions of it. So I feel like everybody should watch it at some point in their life. You know, just because
you forget that Liam Neeson's actually like a great actor, and he was really good
Schindler.
In that role. Spectacular.
It's an intense film.
You know, he's not just an action star.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason it's always on like movie lists, like top movie lists. So it's one that everybody should watch, especially if you want to know about World War II or the Holocaust.
So are you going to go to number 1, or do you want me to go and then do your number 1?
I mean, I'll just say, like, my number 2 is Saving Private Ryan. We've already kind of covered it.
Yep.
But there's a reason it's not my number 1, which I'll get to when I get to my number 1.
Okay. So my number 1, I will watch it whenever it's on TV, and it is a war. I can consider it a war movie, even though it could be classified as a political thriller because it's Cold War. Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide's a decent flick.
I love Crimson Tide. Denzel, Gene Hackman. You're not only dealing with, the Russians and, the possibility of nukes, you're dealing with the blatant racism within the military. And it's just, it's already a really, uncomfortable movie because you're dealing with a submarine and tight quarters, but then you're dealing with, Gene Hackman's, that character's blatant racism, the mutiny on board the sub. I love you. I was about to say U571.
Submarine films.
I love submarine
You're like The Hunt
films.
for Red October. Really anything with red in it, just not Red Dawn.
I love The Hunt for Red October. I love U571. But Crimson Tide is
good. It's a good and I love the scene when they board the sub and the soundtrack that plays. I had that on my iPod as workout music for a while.
You know who that is, right? I have two favorite composers, three favorite
Hans
computers,
Zimmer.
three.
Yeah.
John Williams, Michael Giacchino, and Hans Zimmer.
Okay,
Good choices.
And Hans Zimmer score, and I have to brag a little bit here. I was not expecting to hear it. Karen and I, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, got to see Hans Zimmer do his tour live, and he did Crimson Tide, and I was just like,
nice,
fuck yeah.
Nice, good
It was
stuff.
so good. I love Crimson Tide. Matt, this is your time to give me shit.
My number one war movie, Julian could not guess it, but Heather did. It took her like 2 tries until she got it, but the war movie that defined war movies for decades, All Quiet on the Western Front.
I would disagrey with that. One, I've never heard of it, and two, The Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Nope. All Quiet on the Western Front came out in 1930. It does the World War I from the portrayal of a German soldier because it's based on the book by, I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's name even though I know it. But basically the movie, now the one thing I will say about the movie though is the acting is like very 1930-ish where the very exaggerated Zane, haha, like that's like, but All Quiet on the Western Front is like, first of all, one of the things because I did some research about it a while back, but like the extras were all veterans of World War I. They were U.S. troops that had served in World War I, so that gave the movie authenticity just from the word go. Also, the reason why I put it over Saving Private Ryan is Saving Private Ryan, the deaths of like Wade and Caparzo are these big emotional stirring scenes with like, Wade's like crying for his mom when they're trying to hold down the bleeding.
Oh my God.
But however, one of the main characters of All Quiet on the Western Front, whose character's name is Stanislaw Kaczynski, everybody calls him Kat. His death just happens like that. And it right near the end, and it's totally just like because the main character, Paul Baumer, is carrying him because he kind of hurts his foot or something. It's been a while since I've watched the movie, but he's carrying him back, and like a shell hits nearby, and a fragment like hits him in the head, kills him, and Paul doesn't know he's dead. And Paul carries him back to the aid station. He's like, "Oh yeah, he hurt," and the guy just looks at him and goes, "Oh, he's dead."
Jeez.
And there's no big score, there's no big emotional moment, like, and Paul's best friend is dead.
You're
and
like,
that's
it.
That's what happens. It's brutal, it's quick, and it's just. There's no glory in it. There's no like,
and there's no glory in war.
And there shouldn't be.
So yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front. As I said,
would never have guessed it.
Yeah, would never guess.
Bridge Over the River Kwai defined film, and that was also one of Alec Guinness's like masterworks.
Yeah, I know. Well. I thought about. I haven't watched Bridge Over the River Kwai in forever.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel comfortable putting it on here. But as I said, All Quiet, like basically for decades, defined war movies. Like it's a solid movie. Like I own it on digital, but I don't own it on Blu-ray yet. So man, I have to let you watch it.
These are all really good picks. Brittany, I am going to give you the final word just because I know you have some honorable mentions very quickly if you want to just spout them off.
Honorable mentions. These are the ones that are like kind of more anti-war films, but don't specifically follow anything. I really like the animated movie The Breadwinner, which follows like unrest.
That was
in
recent,
the Middle
right?
East.
I know that
Yeah,
movie.
it was like last year.
I think it was nominated for an Oscar.
It follows this young girl when her like father has disappeared and he's like imprisoned, and then what her family has to go through. Obviously, they can't even leave their house without like a male figure. So she literally starts to like dress up like a boy just to make sure she can, have food for her family. And it tackles a lot of really, really tough themes. But overall, it was like a really beautiful animated film that shows like, unfortunately, what people have to go through when they're stuck in a state where war is affecting their lives every day. Grave of the Fireflies is another like honorable mention.
Yeah.
That's a huge Hayao Miyazaki work. And
Studio Ghibli, baby.
Yep, it's really intense, and you will probably cry. And then movies that don't necessarily follow any realistic war, but are like futuristic, like Children of Men. I think has one of the like some really cool being stuck in a city while war is ravaging around you scenes.
The
like
ceasefire
the
is
ceasefire
an amazing moment.
Is
in cinema.
incredible. Yeah, that I'm crying, like tears down my face for the last 10 minutes of that film probably. And then Star Wars Rogue One.
Star Wars Rogue One
that's a war film.
It is
I'm
a war.
sorry.
It is based off of like the type of film it is a World
Like
War
the Dirty
II.
Dozen,
Yeah, exactly.
essentially.
It is, yeah.
I'm gonna give a quick honorable mention to Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe in The Last Samurai.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and it's a war.
I'd call it more of a historical epic
Yeah.
than a war movie.
Fair enough. That is going to do it for episode 38. Again, happy Matt. What is your opinion? Is it okay to say Happy Veterans Day?
I mean, you can like I mean, everybody is different, and I don't pretend to speak for all veterans. I say to like, look, if you want to thank me for my service, I appreciate I appreciate the support and everything. I feel a little awkward sometimes because as I tell people, it was my job.
Yeah,
like I signed up for it. So
well, anyway, thank you to all who have served our armed forces. We will be back next week with episode. Actually, sorry, quick announcement. Either you're listening on Tuesday, this Thursday, or Friday. We haven't set the exact date for our special. We are going to be doing our Mandalorian pilot review special. The whole episode will be for the Mandalorian pilot. That is coming up later this week. We'll post on Facebook when we lock that down. Also, next week on episode 39, we are going to be having our friend and guest Belly Pete's rejoin the show, talking about games as a service. Also, we will be doing our Dr. Sleep review. So stick around for that. This is episode 38. We'll be back with episode 39. Have a good night.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Migliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.